Hi, I'm Samantha McDouglas from thebridgeteachers.com. Come look over my shoulder at a play problem. Last week, we looked at this hand from North's perspective. We decided that North should have bid 3 no trump, but when this hand was played at the table, North actually passed. This week, I've flipped the hand around, so we are looking at the other hand, the hand that bid 3 clubs. Before we get into the play, let's go over the auction. Our hand was the dealer and opened 1 club, showing 3 or more clubs and an opening hand or better. Our left-hand opponent overcalled 1 diamond, showing 5 or more diamonds and 8 to 16 points. Our partner bid 1 heart, showing 4 or more hearts and 6 or more points and denying 4 spades. When it came back to us, we bid 3 clubs, showing 15 to 17 points and probably 6 clubs, although we can do this with 5. At the table, after our 3 club bid, it went pass, pass, pass. West was on lead and led the 10 of spades. Before you ever play a card, I want you to assess the hand. If you are in a trump contract, count losers. If you are in no trump, count winners. And I want you to come up with as complete of a plan as you can. But on this hand, we're only going to be talking about trick 3. So I'm going to give you 3 seconds to assess the hand if you would like, and then we are going to play the hand as it was played up until that critical moment. Declarer played the queen, East played the king, and now Declarer played the ace. In an attempt to get to dummy to run the club finesse, Declarer led a diamond. West jumped up with the ace and led another spade. We followed suit. East won the jack and now led another spade. This is the moment where Declarer went wrong. So let's talk about this moment. On this trick, we are going to trump. If we don't trump, we are almost certainly going to lose the trick. Either West has the 9 of spades, or they have a club with which they can trump. The question is, how high should we trump? If we trump with a low trump and West is out, they will overtrump us. If we trump with a high trump, it could cost us a trick later on. Which would you do? I would trump low. There are a couple of reasons for this. The first is that it is fairly unlikely that West is out of spades now. If we think about how we started the hand, we had 3 spades in the north hand and 2 spades in the south hand, which means that our partnership had a total of 5 spades. If we have 5 spades, how many spades do the opponents have? 8. In order for West to be out now, that would mean that East started with 6 spades. While not impossible, this is fairly unlikely. But Sam, you say, West played a high card and then a low card. That means a doubleton. It can. If we have a doubleton, we do play high-low, we play the top card. If our partner leads the ace and we want to trump, we will play high to indicate that we want partner to keep going. But playing high-low doesn't always mean a doubleton. It could just be the top of nothing. If we have 3 little cards, we're going to play the top card. If we have 4 cards, we're going to play the top card. So just because West started with the 10 and then played the 2 doesn't mean they have a doubleton. It's good to be thinking about that. It is great to be watching what the opponents play and trying to figure out what that means and what they have. And it's fantastic that you're thinking about trumping high here to avoid losing a trick that you don't have to lose. But that is the essence of this decision. That is the second factor. If we trump high here, it is now a near certainty that we will lose a club trick. When you think about trumping high, the very first thing that I want you thinking about is, can I afford to trump high? Because if you can afford to trump high, if it's not going to cost you, you should be trumping high. It doesn't matter how likely it is that West is out or not out, because it doesn't cost you to trump high. But if you trump with a high card that you need later on to avoid losing a trick, now it's costing you. And when trumping high will cost you, now you have to evaluate if it's worth doing. If it is for certain going to cost you a trick, it's probably not worth doing. And you might even consider discarding a loser instead of trumping. Let's take this 2 of clubs back and talk about trumping high. If we trump high, we're talking about trumping with the queen, the jack, or the ace. How many clubs do the opponents have? They have 5. What is the best possible distribution of the clubs in the opponent's hands? It's 3 and 2. One defender having 3 and the other one having 2. But even in that best case scenario, it will take us 3 rounds of trump to pull trump. And if we play the jack, we now only have 2 high trump with which to pull trump. And that means when we get to the 3rd round of clubs, we're going to lose that trick. We're going to lose it to the 10 or the 8 or the 7. If you think of it in those terms, it's going to take me at least 3 rounds of trump to pull trump. And I want to make sure that on each of those rounds, the only card I'm potentially losing to is the king. Then we need the jack. And the second that we've played the jack, now that 3rd round of clubs, we aren't going to be winning. So if you trump with the queen or the jack, you are now guaranteeing that at a later date, you are going to lose a club. So now, if we take the jack back, there are 2 possibilities. 1, we trump with the 2, and if West has another spade, we don't lose the trick. If West doesn't have another spade, we're going to lose the trick because West is going to beat the 2 of clubs. But our other scenario is that because we're afraid of that, and reasonably so, that is absolutely a reasonable fear, we trump high. We may or may not lose this trick, and if we do lose it, it'll be to the king, which will be okay. Because if West has the king, we're losing the king anyway. But as a consequence, when we get to the 3rd round of trump, we won't be winning that trick. We will be for certain losing it. So if we boil that down, it boils down to, if I play the 2, I might lose a trick that I didn't have to lose, but I might not. And if instead we play the jack, now we are for sure losing a trick later. So 1, maybe we lose a trick. The other one, for sure. Examine the 2 possible scenarios. Playing the jack of clubs here will cost us a trick later on. And if we don't play the jack, and instead play the 2 will maybe win the trick or it won't. But having a chance to maybe win is far better than having a chance to for sure lose. When you are in a situation where you haven't had a chance to pull trump and you're having to trump, and the person behind you could be out, the first thing I want you to look at is, can I afford to trump high? If the answer is yes, if it's not going to cost you, trump high, because there's no cost. But if it's going to cost you, if trumping high is going to cost you a trick later on, then it's probably not the right thing to do unless you are certain that there is no better way to avoid this loser. We aren't going to go any further in the hand. This is what I wanted to show you, but I will show you all 4 hands because I said I would. When we look at the hand, you can see that West not only has 1 more spade to play on this trick, but actually 2. We are not in any danger of being over-trumped if we trump with the 2, making this the better play. If instead of trumping with the 2, we trump with the jack, we will eventually lose a trick to West's king and to East's 10. If we had kept the jack, we could have prevented the 10 from winning. There is nothing that we can do about West's king. We are always going to lose that king. But we don't have to lose a trick to East's 10. If we trump with the 2, we will be able to pull all 3 of East's trump with our ace, queen, and jack. But if we trump with the jack, now we're going to lose not only to the king, but also to East's 10. Thinking about trumping high is a very good thing to be thinking about, but it isn't always the right choice. Thank you. Enjoying these videos? Stop by our website and sign up for our newsletter so you can also enjoy our Hand of the Month.